Hi, I'm Marquis,
And this is your one and only favorite Taylor.
and welcome to the You Stuck With Me podcast.
You stuck with me.
In this podcast, you get to learn about our relationship, the ins and outs, and everything that happens in between.
Basically went through the sickness and the health, and almost death do us part before we said I do.
And she's stuck with me, I'm stuck with her, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
And now y'all stuck with us.
Episode starts right now.
What they do? They smile in your face all the time. They'll take your place. They backstab us. They smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place. They backstab us. Backstab us.
You want point like a harpoon.
Not a harpoon.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Marquis,
And this is your one and only your favorite Taylor.
and welcome back to the You Stuck With Me podcast.
You stuck with me.
Beautiful, how you feeling?
I'm 85 today.
85?
85.
You know, I'm glad that you're 85 because I know it's been a rough week for you. I'm about at 85 as well, so we here.
We here. We locked in. Twin, where have you been?
But I'm excited for this episode because we have a guest on the show.
Yes, I'm excited, babe. You want to introduce our guest?
Yes. We met him at the Black Podcast Awards, Doctor of Psychology, Dr. Ed Garnes.
What's up, y'all? Sorry, I was in the middle of a sweet tea sip, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. Whenever I can support Black independent media, man, sign me up.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Oh yeah, man. We have to look out for each other. So
Most definitely. So, tell our listeners about yourself.
well, I'm a sweet tea enthusiast. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. My people is from South Georgia and Mississippi. I am a therapist. I'm a jazz head. I'm a hip hop head, but I am known for my organization From Afros to Shell Toes, which looks to make therapy and emotional healing cool for Black folks. So we do everything from panels, course productions, curriculum. And then I also have Sweet Tea Ethics, which is now a podcast where we talk about emotional healing with other guests. So we've had everyone from Little John Roberts, who was the drummer for Prince, Stevie Wonder, Janet Jackson. Our episode today is with DJ Sir Daniel, who also has a podcast called Q Points about musicology and healing through rhythm. We also had an episode with Reverend and soon-to-be Dr. Mashawn D. Simon on Black Folks in Grief. We also did a D'Angelo tribute as well. So the Sweet Tea Ethics podcast takes those conversations with your grandma that you had around the kitchen table with sweet tea and chicken wings, and we just add a little Black psychological development to that. So that's what the Sweet Tea Ethics podcast is all about. So I've been a therapist for 25 years. I know I look 12. So most of the time when people come into the digital room, they like, this little boy gonna cancel me. So yeah, so I got a lot of experience, man. But I, frame things from a Black psychological standpoint. So that means that the ways of being, how we think as Black folks is important to identity construction. So I do a lot of work around identity development because I think that's a crucial component into how we as Black people liberate ourselves. We have to have psychological balance, right? So I emphasize that in the folks that I work with. But I was trained by the godfather of Black psychology, Dr. Joe White, who started the discipline. Rest in heaven, my good mentor. So he got me started in the discipline. He was like, "You're a natural therapist, and if you got a Southern grandmama, you got it in you." You know what I'm saying? So my grandmother's philosophies and my dad's philosophies, ground a lot of my work. So like if I work with a client, you're going to get a grandmama or daddy lesson. So the one I've been giving out all week, my dad always said, routine creates consistency. Consistency creates excellence, So I always have some kind of, so routine creates consistency. Consistency creates excellence. So my son has probably heard that about 50 times a day. So, I try to incorporate how we think as Black people into how I operate as a therapist. And most people say, "Ooh, Dr. Garnes, I didn't know we were doing therapy." It feels like a conversation, but you don't know. I done gave you about 25 psychological theories in one session. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
So that's just a little bit about me, man.
That's cool because, with the state of the world and the state of the country right now, I think that a lot of us need to just have somewhere where we can just go and just be vulnerable and not judged and just get to speak our inner truths and our actual truths. And so I think having black psychologists is very important for not just our mental and our physical, but for the culture as well, because for so long, at least in the African American community, going to see a therapist or anyone in the mental space was always frowned upon. And I say about probably like the last 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 or 7, it's not just it's not a trend, but it's something that African Americans are starting to see and understand the need for.
I would say the last decade. I remember when I first started, you had to pull a gun to get a black person in therapy. Come on now, you coming, But I mean, it's a reason for that. Okay, so with a system that is based on oppression and limiting the freedom of black folks, do you want those people to be mentally healed? So the system does not benefit from our healing. The system benefits from us being psychologically shackled, as Dr. Naeem Akbar would say. So we have to take the shackles off of our mind, because liberation starts in the mind first. So no, you're not going to have any system support the healing of black people. So that's intentional. Also, one of our biggest strengths becomes a weakness in the mental health space, because what are we taught as black people? Be strong. Don't let them see you sweat. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about stuff that's happening in this house. But, if you're carrying trauma and things that have happened to you, most of our issues as black people is rooted in not constantly being in spaces where we can't speak our truth. So I think now people have connected that if you get the right therapist who is black and African centered, meaning that, black psychological theories reign over the whitewashed version of psychology. Once you present a different advertisement of therapy, every black person says, "Sign me up." So if you take a good barbershop conversation or a sister girl conversation from brunch or the hair salon, that's what therapy should feel like. You should feel uninhibited, because notice, if we at the barbershop or we at the hair salon or brunch with the girl, you telling your business, you don't even know these people. you talk about everything. Sally left me, I only got $5. You took my car, you know what I'm saying? You telling everything. That's what therapy is an open space for you to do that. But go ahead, I interrupt.
No, you're fine. You're fine. What I like about the fact that it gives us, like I said, a chance for us to speak our truths and be vulnerable. And I was doing some reading and I came across this example, and it was talking about how when soldiers go to war, they see a whole bunch of things. They see things that the average mind should not see. But when you look at some of our black neighborhoods, you see kids who are dealing with the same thing, and it's like they see things that the soldiers at war see, and it's like these soldiers at war have these mental issues, and they're told to go get therapy. But when you see these kids and these teenagers who are grown up in somewhat similar environments, they're told that they shouldn't receive or they shouldn't get therapy. And it's like, well, what's the difference? The only difference is really their skin color.
Yeah, and speaking of like black psychological theories, there's a doctor by the name of William Smith. I think he's in Utah, so I might have the state wrong, but he would call that racial battle fatigue. You know what I'm saying? The things that we as black people go through that are similar to PTSD symptoms. There are theories around race-related stress, but essentially growing up in the oppressive systems and the realities that we face as black people has a deep psychological impact. So only someone that understands that impact can help you heal from it. Fortunately, in the psychology space, if your vision of therapy is Sigmund Freud, a lot of the theories fell flat fall flat for people that are non-white, specifically Black people.
Okay.
So for example, if I want to give you breathing exercises, but your issue is the oppression at work, how does breathing better help you cope with this system? You know what I'm saying? Or if I tell you, yes, Marquis and Taylor, you need to do objective introspection and all of your anxiety will dissipate. Is there somebody you want to talk to?
No, not really.
So you might want to talk to somebody that say, Taylor, I know you want to smack Kim every day, right? But you want to smack Kim because you wasn't allowed to smack your mama when you were coming up. That's the trauma from your childhood coming out. If somebody put it in those terms, you'd be like, oh, I need some more of this. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's like that translation that's always been missing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you use that analogy. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, sister.
No, I was getting ready to say, it's funny that you use that analogy of, I want to slap Kim because I haven't, slap my mom. People know I would never do that. Just to let our listeners know, I would never do that. My mom has been gone into glory for like 7 years, and I'm still afraid that she might come smack me in my sleep if I do something crazy. So, but anyway.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. My mom is all of like 5'5". I'm 6'5". I still won't put my hand to my mom, and I got a whole foot over.
Yeah, it's always the two. My mom and my grandmother. My grandmother has been gone the same amount of years. Speaking about Southern grandmother, so my grandmother, she was born and raised in Yucatan, Arkansas. But then she got older, she moved up to Chicago. Grew up on the South, and then started her family South Side Chicago. My mom was born in Chicago, but my aunts, they were born in Arkansas. So just thinking about all those talks she would give me, my grandmother, she didn't get a chance to go to high school or college or everything like that. She survived on a 4th grade education. And her thing was, one of the things that she instilled in us was education. She always said, college may not be for you. It might not be for everybody, but you're going to bring me that high school diploma. So like using those examples there, was like, okay, that's reminding me of some of the things my grandma used to tell me and my cousins. So
yeah, I mean, my grandma was probably the first psychologist I encountered, because really what Southern Black mothers give us, and just elders in the Black community, I would say elders who care, because I have found a lot of elders, we need to stop giving them the elder title because they ain't really earned it. But they basically give us adaptive strategies for living. So they give us coping strategies, ways to adapt to different environments. So a lot of times grandparents provide, the underpinnings of psychological development for us as Black people,
That's a good way of saying it, because I never thought of it that way.
So think about this: a elder in the Black community, you gonna get this is how you deal with white folks in whatever system you in. If you in corporate America, you a teacher, whatever you do, an elder has experience in an area of how you navigate certain systems. So all that is psychologically adapting to those environments. So they it's like you get the playbook, the psychological playbook from the elders in the Black community.
I like that, and that I've always been a fan of respect your elders. So, my grandmother on my dad's side, she just passed last year, and I believe when she made it work with the 8th grade education, she became a nurse. But she was always schooling us on the different ways of how to blend in at whatever environment that you were in, and then on my mom's side, and I just found this out recently. I'm actually the 3rd generation college student. My grandfather went to college. He's an engineer. My mom graduated from college with an education degree, and I have a political science degree with a minor in African American studies. So I've had an interest in knowing my own people and how we vote and why we vote the way that we do and the things that we do in the political space. So I think that just a combination of those individual things that my grandparents taught me, and then my parents have taught me, has made me be able to blend in different environments and learn the art of we call it code switching, but just to be able to speak in a dialect that's appropriate for the environment. But when I'm with my friends, okay, I'm like, look, this is what's going on. I don't care about none of these,
Well, I would say as I've gotten older, I have cautioned people against deep code switching because some code switching is psychologically damaging when you can't show up as your full self. So certain environments that constitute you having to constantly code switch, sometimes it has a damaging impact over time. I would say getting a PhD in psychology is one of them. You know what I'm saying? So they wanted me to say Toby, okay? That was the whole point of my education was you got to say Toby, and I didn't say Toby, and I paid the price for it. So we have to also know that, sometimes code switching can be detrimental to our mental health.
Yeah, now that you said it, I never considered it that way because I just always thought like, okay, when I'm in one space, I speak one way. If I'm with my friends, I just sit back and relax. I never thought about the fact that it could be damaging, and I never thought about not being my true authentic self in a space where I'm not traditionally supposed to be, or I'm not traditionally known being in.
Yeah, we gonna adapt. So like I would never rattle off 10 cuss words to start off this interview. So I mean we adapt to our environments, but I'm speaking specifically in Black people, and my example is more about, white centric spaces. You know what I'm saying? I have found it's more psychologically damaging to us to code switch in certain white centric environments because it's a zero sum game. The code switching does not work. You know what I'm saying? They still see us for who we are. When I went into my PhD program at that time, I probably had, how long ago was that? I had 15 years of experience in my field. I had a master's degree. I had done everything that you could possibly think of as far as accomplishment in the field of psychology, and I was still treated like Toby. So none of the code switching I could have done would change my lot at all because of how you are viewed in certain situations. So I could either code switch or I could find a way to be as authentic as I could without getting kicked out the program. So yes, we have to make certain compromises. I just have found for myself, it's certain compromises I'm not willing to make anymore in white centric spaces.
I can relate to that. I was getting ready to say, with my upbringing, I was mainly raised by single Black women, right? So I'm not gonna say I never really was exposed to code switching by them. I was always brought up like, you show up as your authentic self, but you're gonna adapt to certain situations. Like as you said, I'm not gonna come into a conversation just firing off cuss words and stuff like that. And I monitor what type of slang terms that I use because I was that type of kid, right? And it wasn't until I started like in my early 20s actually going into the workforce. So I have a extensive background in healthcare. I worked in all facets of it, the administrative side and also the customer service side. And one thing that really stuck out to me was the whole concept of being in like these white centric spaces. It may not be what I say, but my appearance. So I'm that type of woman that I like to wear my Afro puffs and braids and everything like that. And it didn't take until I was in a situation and a previous employer, instead of just asking me to put on a double hairnet, she's like, "Oh, your hair is scaring me." Right? And I'm just looking like this part of me is like, okay, Taylor, you can't say what you want to say. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, this is my superior. Let me go ahead and ask her nicely what is she meant. And then I did. I asked her like, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say her name, but I'm sorry, so-and-so. Can you clarify a little bit what you mean by that? Like, my hair is scaring you. And I'm like, okay, do you mean to put on another hairnet and everything like that? So code switching, I never really learned learn that concept more until as I got older, because it's like I didn't grow up with that. I was always told like be yourself. You know, there's some things you can compromise with, and some things that you should just not tolerate.
But you know what?
Yeah, I mean, code switching was a survival tactic. You got to think, you know, you couldn't even look the white man in his eyes. So I mean, it had its place. So I understand, you know, why we developed those particular rituals, because our life depended on it. But in working with Black clients as long as I have, I think the root of a lot of our trouble is trying to appease systems that we can never appease.
I agree with that. And I also realizing that our parents, our grandparents, as they raised us they raised us in a time where, like you just said, like you couldn't look a white person in the face.
Yep.
And it was based on survival. And even though that's still that's not the case as much now, we're still teaching that. And just because it's been so ingrained, not in us, but just as generations, that's another part of the psychological trauma that us as Black people have to deal with. That you look around the world, not even just around the country, no one else has to deal with that. You look around in other spaces, we're the only people that told that we have to adjust to what somebody else wants us to be and not be our authentic selves. And I think that as the years have gone by, we've been more acceptive of our authentic selves, which is causing a problem with other ethnicities because they don't want us to know. They want us to remain ignorant and not love ourselves. And that's why we have all these, that's why we have now, we're trying to love ourselves. We're trying to understand ourselves. We're trying to do better, eating well, educationally, spiritually, sartorially. We're trying to do everything we can to better ourselves in different spaces. And because we're the ones that the world has been trying to keep down, that's why we're seeing all this backlash about wearing your natural hair at work or the way you speak in spaces. And like you said earlier, the system feeds off that. So we stop feeding the system collapses.
Yeah, I mean, no one is going to affirm your humanity that is trying to oppress you and take you out. So you're not going to get affirmation from the system. And Sister Taylor talked about her hair. I intimidate people, unenlightened Black people and white people alike, because I'm free. And that's intimidating because in systems, I'll probably wake up everybody because if you are free, then you free other people. So in systems, people see me as Harriet Tubman, like, oh no, we got to suppress him. He gonna free all these people, and they're gonna be thinking like him.
Mm-hmm. And once you start thinking, you start freeing people, you're viewed as dangerous.
Yes, I've been viewed as dangerous probably since I came out the womb. They used to call me Little Malcolm growing up.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because I'm pretty sure you may have heard or may have seen James Baldwin, I Am Not Your Negro.
Oh yes, James Baldwin. One of my undergraduate degree is in writing. So yeah, I love Baldwin.
And
I've seen.
And he said something to me in there that I never forgot. It said to be an African American in America is to be in a constant state of rage.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Really?
It's so right, because every time I see something, it's like, and I actually had a white friend ask me what it's like to be Black in America. And, I at that point, I hadn't seen I'm Not Your Negro, but I kind of said the same thing that he said. He said, I told him to be Black in America is to be American without the privilege, but African without the knowledge, or African without the memory.
Yeah.
He was like, that is so profound. And he kind of stood there with his mouth open for about a good 5 seconds. He was like, wow.
And I think about one of the things, I was blessed to be in the company of Amir Baraka several times, and one of his quotes that I love is, there can be no apprenticeship for freedom. A man is either free or he's not. So, I give that to my students and clients a lot too. Because what are we told in America? Well, you're going to get your freedom in the by and by, because that's what keeps us stuck. If we focus on the by and by and getting freedom later, are we ever going to be free right now? But one of the things that helps when I work with Black clients is just letting them know that we have Black psychological strengths that are innate in our being. And so some of the psychological strengths that my mentor, Dr. Joe White, articulates, one of them is improvisation. Black folks can improv, whether it's being on stage, improving, freestyling, when you got the call to keep your lights on, we know how to improv, okay? And then, resiliency. Name a Black person that does not have resilience. Name a Black person that has not overcome something. You know what I'm saying? So that's a psychological strength. Spirituality, whether you are Christian, are you hum in the corner with yourself? Having a sense of spirituality is a Black psychological strength. Having a gallows sense of humor is a Black psychological strength. So when I'm going through something, I'm gonna turn to Richard Pryor, because that self-deprecating humor, laughing to keep from crying, as Langston Hughes would say, that keeps me going. And then, connectedness to others. So the reason why I'm doing this podcast is because your focus is like mine. You're trying to educate Black people from a Black independent media standpoint. So we connect on that particular purpose. So when you start to take a strength-based approach with Black clients and you give them those psychological strengths that are innate in them, I'm really just unlocking the door as opposed to giving you new skills. I'm unlocking what you already have naturally inside of you as a Black person.
Hey, I wanna go back to what you just said about resilience and being a survivor, because, and I often see this on social media. I see a lot of Black creators. They're talking about how with these protests and everything, everybody was saying, everybody has their different takes on it. Some people are saying that as Black people, we didn't do nothing special. There was no kind of meeting, or there was no letter that went out over social media. All Black people were just like, we sitting this one out. We're just sitting down. And a lot of people in America and around the world couldn't understand how collectively we were able to do that. And it's just like when you look at us historically, we've always been on the front lines for everything, whether it's civil rights, whether it's LGBTQIA rights, whether it's anything. We've always been the ones on the front lines, and wherever we stepped out and did that, others benefited, but it was our bodies that were giving up just for them to have those civil rights. So now America is trying to figure out why we are not out here upset, protesting, tearing things down. And we've come to the realization almost as a whole is that, no, we didn't create this situation. You guys did, so you guys fix it. We're sitting this one out. We're going to sit at home. We're going to be drinking our lemon water, learning line dances, and we're just going to love on ourselves.
And collectively, we're tired.
Yes,
we're tired of being on the front line.
That's connectedness to others. If I go to Senegal and I do a head nod, I probably would get a head nod back, because there's a psychic energy that is unspoken in the Black community. We connect on certain levels. So wasn't no email. Our collective spirit said, we ain't doing it. And everybody followed suit.
And then it's, we've been accused by whites, Latinos of not doing anything. And it's like, no, we are doing something. We're sitting down, we're minding our own Black business. And I love that for us, because it shows something that the world can't figure out, but we know, like you said, on that psychic level.
Yeah, I think what's different, history repeats itself. So nothing that we're going through now has not happened cyclically in since America was founded. I think what is different is other groups is getting Black folks treatment and they losing their mind. See, we used to being treated like this.
About it.
Because some folks are privileged. They got to stand in that food line now because their SNAP benefits is cut off now. They understand what Black folks have to go through, and they don't have the coping strategies or resiliency level to deal with it. I think that's the only wrinkle that's a little bit different about this historical moment. But This is nothing but what my grandparents went through, what other ancestors went through. It's just a more maybe in your, well, I won't say in your face, because can't nothing be in your face more than hanging from a tree and somebody cutting open your wound, or people burning you alive. I mean, that's in your face. But I think that if you follow history,
Or getting
yeah,
the N word with a hard R.
yeah. So if you follow history, history is cyclical. So we go through these patterns, but wherever we have resisted, that's where we have found, great success. We have to, find ways to resist. I mean, a game only works unless its players signed up with uniforms. You know what I'm saying? So,
just the way that Black psychology works, from everything that you told us, is very interesting, and it makes me think of things that I never considered, and I like that because it just gives me different questions as, well, what about this, or what about this? I don't know how you feel about it, babe. But I like the I'm trying not to say sapio. Well, sapio, I'm trying to think of the word, the full word, but that's what's giving me something to think about, something to meditate on. And
look at a Black psychological perspective, more about reminding yourself of yourself, as opposed to, I got to do a lobotomy. You know what I'm saying? Like, once I established some of those principles, didn't those principles ring with you? And I was like laughing to keep from crying. When you like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I do that every day.
Yeah.
I mean, think about social media. Take Black folks off of social media, it won't be no gallows sense of humor, because we gonna make everything funny. You know what I'm saying? Because that is
nothing at all.
But that's a psychological strength, because we had to do that to adapt to environments where we had no power. You know what I'm saying? So those psychic forces, when you remind someone, so think about this. If you always in America been up against deficit models, imagine how freeing it is when a Black therapist takes a strength-based approach and wants to remind you of your strengths, or talk to you about strengths that you can apply in this moment in new ways. That's totally different.
Yeah, and for the rest of the world, it's something that they're not going to be able to understand, and not just understand, but it may come off to them as a new level threat to them, just because us as Black people have been held down for so long.
It's mental. Like, whenever I taught psychology and we talked about learned helplessness, now it's certain things in these white textbooks that I like, and the learned helplessness picture that you will always see is a horse tied to a little lawn chair that the horse could move at any moment. But because the horse has been under captivity, it doesn't even know it can run away at any moment. That little chair is not going to stop the horse. But because they have bought into the notion that they are not free, that they embrace their own victimhood.
That makes sense. And you know what that also reminds me of? I'm pretty sure you heard this at some point. So it's kind of like having a fly in a jar, and the fly keeps trying to get out, bumping its head against the top. And at some point, you're going to twist the top off to open it, but the fly won't try to fly out.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. So think about how I'm advertising Black psychology. Don't that sound more appealing? Like, I feel good just talking about it. Don't that sound like every Black person? Well, give me that and some macaroni and cheese on the side. You know what I'm saying? It's not advertised like that.
Yeah, and I think as Black people, the more that it's something that is advertised to us that we can relate to, the more we're going to be like, okay, I want to know about it.
Or be more aware that it's there, because, I mean, even though we're talking about it now on this episode, there's still some Black people out there that don't know that there are actually Black therapists.
Yeah. I mean, they don't, because, I mean, it's strategic, because, I mean, I can't think of a more qualified person entering my program than me, probably in the history of the program. But we are seen as being incompetent, and psychology is probably one of the most oppressive disciplines out there, because I had to really think about it. if you free somebody psychologically, you can no longer hold them. So why would they want me to get this degree? You know what I'm saying? Why would they make it easy?
That makes sense. So I got to ask you, from someone looking from the outside in, you know the numbers, exactly how many Black psychologists, what's the percentage of Black psychologists in America?
Man, it probably hovers around 2 or 3% on a given year. It's not a lot of us, man. When you go down to brothers in the discipline, man, it might be 1 or 2%, but it's not a lot. It's people believe in systems that it's not a lot because we're unqualified, but they keep us out of it. Like, I give you an example of what I mean. So I had applied to a psych program and I got a rejection letter. I got rejected a lot. They did not want me getting no doctorate in this field. And my rejection letter had the wrong Black man's name on it.
Wow.
So think about that. You don't think two brothers that's interviewing for a program have distinctly different viewpoints, distinctly different names, distinctly different research perspectives, and we just seen this one person. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of crystallized to me how they look at us in the discipline, that like they can just lock us out and even get our name wrong. Like, it don't matter. He ain't getting in, just send it. You know what I'm saying? It's the wrong name. Then a few days later, I guess they realized the mistake and sent another letter, no apology, and then had the right name, but it's the same letter, just the name. You know what I'm saying? So
that ain't right.
Great.
So yeah, so I used to wonder, what is the reason? It's not a lack of capacity or intellectual ability. It's what the threat of having training in the area represents to the system. So it is strategically locking Black folks out. And then how it's presented. Like Dr. White, my mentor, Dr. Joe White, would say, when you have that first couple of classes, or when classes are being advertised and majors are being advertised and people start talking about psychology, it is not advertised in any way that a Black person is going to choose that major.
Yeah, that makes sense, because like I just said, if something is geared toward us and it's something that's appealing, we're going to go and check it out.
But if all the stuff I've been saying, every time I say it, it's like y'all get more curious. So imagine if psychology is presented like that, Black folks gonna be like, "Oh, I want to major in that." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because I took a psych class when I was in college, and granted, I was at NIU when I took it, and I remember out of being a class probably had to be about like 60 students, and out of that class, I think it was about 5 of us who were Black. And
I give you a great example of how traditional psychology fails Black people. I had a sister on point. If she walked in the room, you'll be like, hey, this girl, she got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you seen Reasonable Doubt? The show on Hulu. So if you haven't seen Reasonable Doubt, that sister would be perfect. But I know you've seen Scandal. So what was their sister's? What was the
Olivia Pope?
Yeah. So that particular character, who was the sister that plays? Lord, I love her. I cannot be Mary Washington. When she came in with those suits, and you know it was playtime. So I mean, you knew she was competent. You knew she had it. So this sister presented like that, and so when she went to a white therapist, she was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, right? So, I always use a previous diagnosis as a guide, but I want to make my own decision. So when I started talking to this sister, high achiever her entire life, always was resilient, she didn't have depression or anxiety. What she had was the mental struggle of fighting against a system where she was bumping her head up against a glass ceiling, and being excellent was not enough for the first time in her life. That's what she was dealing with. She was not depressed. She was not anxious. She was psychologically responding to a system that had told her, you can go no further up this corporate ladder. But a white therapist saw that purely as this is depression and anxiety, had no identity or implications of a system impacting mental health on this system. They have no perspective of that. So that's just one example I can give you on the necessity from operating from a Black psychological framework.
You know, I get it because I've been studying to be a real estate appraiser. And in this country, it's about 93% white, 2% Asian, 2% Latino, and 2% Black. Those are the appraisers. That's the demographics of appraisers in this country. And to see another Black appraiser, you're happy. It's just like you said. And even when you're working in your job, both my wife and I, we're part of a Greek fraternity and sorority. You go to work and you find out that somebody else is Greek, you're happy to see him no matter what organization it is. Mm-hmm. So we get it, like just being in those spaces where you finally see somebody who looks like you and has similar experiences, you're happy, you clapping, you jumping up and down, because when the system, like you said, is geared against you, you don't know what to do. When you feel like you hit the glass ceiling or somebody's told you hit the glass ceiling, psychologically, it messes with you.
Mm-hmm. That brings
me just
to one question.
She had been excellent. She had been excellent her entire life. And she, was up against something that the excellence wasn't enough in that moment.
Yeah, so, that's crazy. What were you about to say, man?
I said that brings me to a question because I know you mentioned this before we started recording about how you'll get those questions like, are you a real doctor and everything like that. So I was wondering if you can expound more on that, because I know us as a people, when we do have like those doctorates, and even myself, I have a master's degree, and I get questioned like, are you even qualified to work in healthcare in this capacity? Like, are you a real doctor and stuff like that? So I was wondering if you can touch on that a little bit.
So I'm a curious case. Number one, I look young. Nobody would give me 48. So that's the first thing. Like, how is this little boy gonna help me? So part of it is a product.
So that's true.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't drink or smoke. I see it in moderation, but I don't drink or smoke. So I think that helps, with my youthful appearance, even though I have more gray than I like right now. So yeah, part of it is my youth. Okay, I have to try that. I'm down for anything gonna help. But it helps with my son, because I tell him every time you don't listen, Daddy gets a gray hair. So it's really helping me right now. You know what I'm saying? So part of it is looking young, but also you have to think. So I looked up on the significance of Black psychology. So I looked up on some resources from the American Association of Black Psychologists, ABPSY. So it's gonna average around between 3 and 5% on an annual basis, the number of Black psychologists in the U.S. So it's gonna hover around 3 to 4 or 5% of people that are psychologists are Black in the United States. So you gotta think about that. People ain't never seen it. So I don't just get it from white people, I also get it from Black people, because in my field, you're more likely to see a Black woman than a Black man. So I would say maybe 1%. I don't know. I have to look at the data for Black men, but I know I have always in many spaces been the only Black male therapist around. I worked for a huge organization, and I was the only Black male in the Atlanta and surrounding areas at this big organization. So think about that. Even at a huge organization in Atlanta and the surrounding area, I was the only Black man. I'm sorry.
And you know what? You just gave me something that I remember. And I think this is also strategic too. But Black children, no matter where you are, you can't be what you don't see.
Yeah, that's true.
So if we're always being taught about musicians and actors and we're never, just now we've actually seen a Black president. So that's we can't see another Black president. I firmly believe we will. But if you never seen a Black doctor, no matter if it's medical or psychology or whatever the case may be, you will never know that you could be that. And like for myself in high school, I never knew anything about an appraiser. I never knew what an appraiser was, but because my mom is in the business, and then I've met colleagues who are also Black men, Black women, it's like, okay, if I known about this, this is something I've been interested in, because I get to travel all over the city. I get to see different types of homes, write a report and get paid for it and make a lot of money. Say less.
Yeah. I mean, you need models. So, I had parents that definitely made me African-centered at a young age. I was reading Baldwin, Nikki Giovanni. I was exposed to scholars like Dr. Kwanzaa Kinjufu, who recently passed. And so when you have those models, that helps. So I probably was a natural therapist because I was exposed to Black psychological development early in my development. So, I tell you a funny story about me not knowing it was only 4 or 5%. So when I met Dr. White, he turned me on to a lot of psychologists that was early in the game who are now considered tops in their field. So one of them is Kevin Coakley, Dr. Kevin Coakley, who works a lot around Black achievement and also imposter syndrome. He does a lot of other things, but he's pretty well known for his work in Black achievement and imposter syndrome. So Dr. Kevin Coakley I met early in my journey when I started my PhD walk, and then Dr. Ajamu, just a lot of the people that I was meeting. So I'm meeting all these Black psychologists that are men. I'm thinking, everybody doing this. And then when I got to my program, I was like, oh, I'm meeting all the people that are the few of that percentage that we talk about. You know what I'm saying? So just think, like, I thought it was mass people. It's just that he was introducing me to, at the time, the only young brothers in the field. So most of the young folks like Dr. Sean Harper, they're the elders now. They would be considered elders now. But, when I started my journey 20-something years ago, they were the young cats on the scene about to bust it open. So now they're known in the field. I didn't know it wasn't that many of them. So I'm meeting most of that little small percentage. But I thought everybody was a Black psychologist because Dr. White only exposed me to Black psychologists. So,
and you brought up an author. I remember seeing the book because my parents had it. I can't remember the name. When you said,
I always forget. I always mispronounce it. Me and Killer Mike had to look it up on the interview because I mispronounced it. But let me tell you what the book is. Kwanzaa Kinjufu.
Yeah, that's him.
And it's
Is it makes me want?
It's that's Nathan McCall. That's Nathan McCall who we talking about. Hold on.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the name of the book.
Yeah, I got you. It has the word conspiracy. Countering the conspiracy to destroy Black boys. That's Dr. Kwanzaa Kinjufu, one of his master works. Countering the conspiracy to destroy Black boys. So if I'm my son's age and I was getting it very young, it makes sense, some of the decisions that, and then when I look at my research, I was a writing major, but I was doing papers on, Baldwin's psychology or the psychology of Jim Crow. So I always was coming from a psychological angle, even when I didn't know it.
Yeah, as I was getting my minor in college, I had with one professor. She definitely taught us a lot. I'm trying to remember. Dr. Laverne Guyan. She definitely taught me a lot. While I was going for my minor, and she definitely made me question a lot of things and a lot of preconceptions that I had. And because of her, a lot of my thought process changed, and I started to learn more and develop critical thinking about as far us as African Americans and the way that we think about things, the way we see things, because we're not going to all see things in a monolithic view. That's just not going to happen. We're all different. There's all different types of Black people. You got your athletics, you got your, your nerds, your we're not just all one similar type of people. There's different type of people. So I came from the inner city where all I saw were black people, and it's like, okay, everybody's like kind of thinking the same, doing the same. And then when I got to college and then I started studying, I'm like, okay, so we're not just like athletes and musicians and, some are doctors or lawyers. Like, of course, granted, I was born in the 80s. I kind of grew up in the 90s. But, I was accustomed to seeing a Cliff Huxtable, a Claire Huxtable, and then watching a different world. I was always a fan of those shows. You can ask my wife. I went so far as to give me the Dwayne Wade the flip-ups. So that's how ingrained I was. And then I went to a HBCU. And to see all this stuff firsthand, I'm like, okay, I'm with my people. This is where I belong. And then to a PWI where it's more, it's a small black community, but you see the different types of people, and you get to learn from these different types of people who they don't just come from the city of Chicago. They're from Wisconsin, from Cleveland, from Cincinnati. It was cool to see and get a better understanding, especially since I got that minor, to better understand myself as a black person and better understand people as a whole. And that's why when somebody decides to question us and say that we're this, I'm first to jump up and say, no, we're not this, but let me tell you about you. Oof. And that's what a lot of people don't like about me, because I say, let me tell you about you. And I'm not talking about brothers and sisters, but I'm talking about those who lack melanin.
Self-knowledge is freeing. So just the self-knowledge knowledge of self that you got and how freeing it was, that's why people is scared. If you notice, in America, black pride scares America the most. Everybody else can have pride, but when we have pride, it's a problem, because that is, black pride is the kryptonite to oppression.
Mm-hmm. And I remember watching this video. It was a civil rights video. And I never forgot this. J. Edgar Hoover, who was the head of the CIA during the 60s, he said that their biggest fear was Negro unity.
Yep.
The biggest fear is the Black Messiah. So every time you turn around and you look at history, you have Medgar Evers, who was killed on his front line, Martin Luther King, who was killed in Memphis, Malcolm, who was killed in New York, Fred Hampton, who was killed here in Chicago. They were always afraid of the black unity because it meant the end of white supremacy.
Yeah. I mean, I think about, and I'm not sure, I've heard people in Charleston pronounce this 55 different ways, but it's Denmark Vesey or VC, however you pronounce that warrior's name. He had planned one of the most, what would have been the most successful slave revolt probably in history. We would have to probably look to Haiti and other revolts to compare it to if it was successful. But he got ratted out by his own people, and they made an example of him and killed this brother, and also stopped us from worshiping at black churches in Charleston, because the church was used to disseminate some of the information on this is what we're about to do. So if you can keep somebody psychologically in bondage, what if you go against your own people? That's what America would like us to do. If you ever notice, most movements in America for black people are quelled by people that look just like us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember who. I think it was Fred Hampton. He was ratted out by, I forgot his name, but they promised him either freedom or less jail time, and he did it, and they didn't even hold up their end of the bargain, if I remember.
Wasn't that inspired the movie Judas and Black Messiah? Yeah.
Well, why Fred Hampton was also dangerous is that he had a very class sophistication in ways that other leaders did not have. And so he was not only freeing black people, but he was freeing working class and blue collar people of all races. And so he was really a threat, because he was focused on black people, as his number one target. But, he had a class understanding that was very dangerous to America, because if you get people considered the underclass to rise up, and all of us rise up, not just black people, that's dangerous. So that was a motivation too, is his analysis of class in America. So if you go back and look at his speeches, not only is he speaking black power, but he has a definitely critique of the class system in America that was very dangerous for other people as well.
and to add on to what you said as far as classism, and it wasn't said by a Black person, but it was said by Lyndon B. Johnson. He said that if you can convince the poorest white that they're still better than the richest Black, they'll never recognize that you're picking their pockets.
Yeah, and that goes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that just goes to show how deep the world or this country wants just everybody to clash and be mad at, Black versus white, when in the grand scheme of things it's also, rich versus poor.
Yeah, I mean it.
It's right now today.
In Black Reconstruction, W.E. Du Bois calls that the psychological wage of whiteness. That I know whether I'm poor, I'm underpaid, I'm low end of society, as long as I have that whiteness, I have that psychological wage of knowing stuff is still gonna work in my favor because I have the protection of white privilege.
And the thing about it is now, as we become, everything's become more, the information become more available, you're starting to see that it was always believed that, the Black woman was the welfare queen and this, that, and the third. Where the numbers obviously show that white people outnumber Black people with SNAP. You have 60% of white people who are on SNAP and 40% Black people on SNAP. And there's other ethnicities on SNAP, but it's not as many as these two. And then now it makes poor whites look and see that what they thought has been wrong, and it's scary to them because they're now questioning everything that they thought they knew.
And it's funny because it's always that stereotype that it's the Black woman that's on SNAP and welfare and stuff like that. But now today's society, when SNAP is in danger, what type of videos do you see?
You see poor whites
on TikTok and everything, talk about this is wrong and how can he do this? So I think that's funny.
That's all psychology, making us believe those typical things. So if that's all psychological, would you want somebody that can explain the psychology behind that, getting a degree in psychology?
The system, no, but for us, we need it.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to be a vessel, man. I try to let the ancestors use me in ways to liberate other Black folks, man. And I think, one thing about Black people, you can't fake authenticity. So you got to really love Black people to their core to do the kind of work that I do. And if I didn't love Black people to my core, people would tell me to go to hell. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't fake authenticity. You know what I'm saying? You either connect with people or you don't.
And I love our Black people. I know that we have our issues and we have our ills, but if I had to choose anything, I'd be Black in every lifetime.
Yeah, and Black women are dangerous because give a Black woman anything and she's gonna make it better.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm drinking tea right now. A sister gonna add cinnamon, cloves, other stuff. It's gonna be a sweet tea delight by the time a Black woman is finished. You give her an organization, she gonna have that thing running. She gonna have a social media campaign, the strategy, everything. You give anything to a Black woman and she amplifies.
And you know what? I had this was probably 2 years ago or last year. I was very sick. I had a cold. It was really bad. And we had one of our sorority sisters come visit us. And man, when I tell you she hooked me up with this tea, I promise you in 24 hours, I was a brand new man.
What?
Like,
it had to be Harriet. The more I think about Black women, it had to be Harriet in that role because Black women have a certain defiance and caretaking skill that's innate in them that we sometimes as brothers don't have. Black women gonna get it done. They gonna show you how to get it done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotta say this a million times. I love our Black women because our Black women are the greatest gift to earth. The Black woman is the only woman who can create different ethnicities and still maintain her Black beauty, and no other ethnicity can do that but the Black woman. That's what makes her so unique, so valuable. But also, unfortunately, because of the lack of understanding of the Black woman, she's also the least protected. And we as Black men, I say we need to do a better job of protecting our Black women because they hold us down through thick and thin.
Yeah, I think my empathy comes from my grandmother and also having, a Black women psychologist in my training. So Dr. Alfie Breland Noble, that goes by Dr. Alfie, was critical in my training. Dr. Robbie Stewart was critical in my training. Dr. Harriet McAdoo, who was a researcher on the Black family. So a lot of the parenting stuff and the Black family stuff I got from Dr. Harriet McAdoo. So there's Black women all over my intellectual journey as well. I mean, Audre Lorde, Nikki Giovanni. I mean, so without those framings from sisters, I don't think I have the empathy and compassion necessary to be a therapist. Because one thing you're going to get is that gut bucket vulnerability from a sister.
I definitely agree. My cousin and I, we had this discussion during the pandemic, and we both came to the conclusion, if we had the chance, we would love to go listen to Angela Davis speak.
Yeah, I've had the chance. I would take it every time. I mean, it's just something, sisters just have a different kind of magnetism. The way that sisters are able to inspire greatness in people is underappreciated. Like a sister can tell you something, you be like, oh, dang, I can do that. Okay, let me go and finish this degree then. You know what I'm saying? Because, Black women, man, I sing their praises all day long. I'm not here. I came from a Black woman, and just in my journey, sisters have had my back. Okay?
Definitely agree with that. I don't have any biological sisters, but with my wife, we have our own friend group in this. Me, another brother, he's my frat brother. We're all frat brothers, the Sigmas. I'm a Sigma, she's a Zeta. Our sisters are Zetas. Other brother, she's a Sigma. And I can't say how many times that all four of them, because there's 6 of us, all 4 of them have helped me down in one way or another. From education.
So yeah,
education to if I'm hungry, if I just need another point of view, I can't say enough about them. And I can't say enough about other Black women who done the same, whether we're related or not. So
yeah, and Black psychology is healing as community practice. That's really what it's all about. And as long as we never forget as Black people that we need each other, no matter how we identify, because we like to break up who we gonna support in the Black community. But however you identify, we all need each other as Black people.
Amen.
Man, I think that's a great way to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Doc, how can we support you? Do you have social media?
Yeah, man, I'm on social media, so definitely hit me up on Instagram. Dr. Ed Garnes is my handle on all the platforms that you can think of. So Dr. Ed Garnes on Instagram. Subscribe to Sweet Tea Ethics because it seemed like y'all was feeling what I was putting down. So some of these things that I'm telling you, these stories and these lessons. So on my podcast, Sweet Tea Ethics, I have Hold My Mule Musings, where I'm gonna pick a topic and break it down just like I'm talking to y'all. So one of them was love and support Black women. So these stories that I'm telling that are based on Black psychological principles, you're gonna get some of that with the Sweet Tea Ethics podcast. So besides me giving my view of topics, you're also gonna get interviews. So I would say definitely subscribe to sweetteaethics.com, and then you'll get, my weekly updates. So that's how you can support me. And then also, I've been an entrepreneur almost my whole life, speaking. You know what I'm saying? You want to book me for speaking. Paid engagements. My community cut enough over. So I would do enough community events throughout my time because I still do community events, but this is how I make my living, man. So, book me for consulting, book me for a conference, send clients in the state of Georgia my way. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Do you have a YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube is Dr. Ed Garnes as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So sweetteaethics.com, dredgarnes.com, and Dr. Ed Garnes is my social media handle.
Babe, I feel full. This is one.
I feel full, and I feel I feel like, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I really feel appreciated. I mean, I just had to sit here and listen. When our black brothers talk about how they appreciate black women, because sometimes black women
I'm yes. I'm not that sexist black leader that's like brother, and never mention the sister, because what they need to do is get the cornbread. You ain't gonna never hear me talking like that. You know what I'm saying? I got that out of my system because I had mentors and my grandma smacking me over the head like, you male show.
Don't feel
you ain't gonna talk to no black woman like
the same way. And my mom had to slap me in my head like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I had to evolve, because I'm sure if you met some sisters from my teenage years, they was like, ooh, sometimes I feel like he didn't love us as black women. Yeah, so I have evolved into who I am. So I think, when I said about being authentic, like I never, promote myself as a perfect individual. So I'm gonna share things, because they will tell you, don't share some of your personal stuff in therapy. But if it relates and I feel it's psychologically appropriate, I'm gonna share things that I've been through, because I think people have to see therapists as human as well.
Yeah.
So if you having relationship issues and I tell you, oh, I once couldn't choose because I didn't love myself, and they're like, oh, really, Dr. Garnes? It's a whole different conversation than me. Oh, tell me about your issues because I'm perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I just try to be relatable. So I'm glad that y'all got something out of it. And I just want to big y'all up. Y'all over 100 episodes. I'm at 7. So, you get past 100 episodes, we got to shout y'all out. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on and telling us about your experience and everything that you do and how you work with those who need your services.
And just dropping knowledge.
Because
yes,
the more knowledge that we can spread amongst ourselves, the better off we'll be as a culture.
Yeah, and just practical application of knowledge. That's what, I'm known for. I get that from my grandmother and my father. She always said, book sense without common sense is nonsense. So I try to just be a trans. Okay, let me say it one more time in my education voice.
Yeah, for the people in the back.
Yeah. For the people in the back, my grandmother Elizabeth Lowe, and I have if you go to my Instagram page, it's a picture of her, because I dedicated the advertisement on the Hold My Mule musing about love black women. Her picture is attached to. So she said, book sense without common sense is nonsense. So she always said, if you can't practically apply what you learned, that degree don't mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, baby, don't get that degree and be a fool. You know what I'm saying? And my dad would say, if I drop you off in the middle of Atlanta and you can't not get back home, you're not intelligent. So you have to be able to practically apply knowledge. It ain't just good to quote books. Can you use it in real life? So can you take these theories that I'm telling you and from an academic standpoint or intellectual standpoint, can you translate that and help people with that? Are you going to pontificate at a conference and you ain't help nobody? So.
Words of advice, words of wisdom.
Yes.
So, yeah, I appreciate y'all. Black independent media. We got to shout out the Black Podcasting Awards, because that's how we met. Okay? So, let's shout out.
Yes. You shout out.
Yeah. So I appreciate y'all embracing me, because I'm new to podcasting, so I appreciate y'all.
Oh, the pleasure is ours. If you have a question, just reach out to us. We do not hoard information
at all.
We're not gatekeepers. We don't believe in that.
Yeah, y'all feel like play cousins. You see how we just got just connected? That's what I'm talking about. That black connection,
Yes.
Now,
Dr. Garnes, you do know this means you stuck with us now, right?
Yeah, I know that stuck with me was a metaphor. So you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, once you come in, you can't get out. You know what I'm saying?
Once you come in, you can't get out. So you stuck with us now.
And I like that Hold My Mule in Thanksgiving's coming up.
Man, chicken, rams.
Yeah, but people like that because you get a lot of generations with saying like something like that, like, ooh, because I get people now. What's the whole my music gonna be for the week? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you can find all those at sweetyethics.com. You know.
I said, look at here. I got beans, greens, tomatoes.
That was actually a good sermon too, though.
It is.
That's a great.
You name it. You got to throw the name in there.
Yeah.
Definitely got to throw that in there. Well, once again, we want to thank you, Dr. Ed Garnes, for gracing us with your presence, blessing us with knowledge, and sharing things with our listeners and the people. Beautiful. Do you have anything that you want to bless the people with?
No, I think all that was said here was enough. All I can do is let everyone know that you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Also, make sure that if you're listening to the podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you stream your favorite shows. Bae, you want to drop the handles?
Yes. If you want to email us and you got a question, we'll read it for you live. Just email us at youstuckwithme@gmail.com. That is USTCKWITME@gmail.com. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Just type in YouStuckWithMe_podcast. That is USTCKWITME_podcast. You can find us on YouTube as well. Just type in YouStuckWithMe_podcast. You'll find us right there. We're going to have plenty of content for you, plenty of shorts, reels. You can see all the funny stuff that happens with us. My wife accused me of being normal and making it a red flag.
Look, don't be putting my business out there in front of company.
And you can find me personally on IG, Facebook, and the app formerly known as Twitter at mine_1. That is M1NE_1. You can find my beautiful wife at.
You can find me on Instagram and the app formerly known as Twitter under Queen Points. That is PO1NTZ. Again, that is Queen Points, PO1NTZ. And if you want some more behind the scenes footage of how I get on Marquis' nerves, pre-recorded, and my record-breaking yawns and all these above, you can follow me on TikTok as well under Queen Points 22. And then also, real quick, let's show off the merch. Yes, this is coming soon.
You still have merch?
Yeah, and more coming soon. So,
and also, if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you rate, review, subscribe. But also, we can't forget to follow. Have you follow?
Hi, Steve.
Hey, y'all.
Where can
you Steve?
You can find me at Steve is Black on Instagram and Roots Recordings on Instagram and the website Roots Recordings.
Yes. So once again, this is your boy Marquis.
And this is your one and only, your favorite Taylor.
And this is Steve.
Signing off, y'all.
Hey, come back.
Y'all stuck with us.
You stuck with us.
Peace out.
Later.